Welcome to Artspace, City 4 TV's window on the art scene in the White Mountains of Arizona. I'm Steve Taylor, and this is my co-host Lisa Jane. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Steve. Good to see you.
Good seeing you. How are you doing?
I'm great. Glad to be back.
All right. Good to be back. And it's good to be back with Gary Holdcroft. Gary, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, you know, I have known Gary for quite a few years, and without going into a lot of detail, he's one of my heroes from that Rodeo Chediskai fire that kept the fire from getting to my house.
Yes.
And so anyway, but we're here about other things, and
it's true.
But that's part of it.
That's so very kind of you.
You're very welcome, and I'm just glad for you and the rest of the guys that did what they could do. So anyway, I noticed that you have that you are a musician as well as other things, and I didn't know that until I was reading your bio.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, I've been playing guitar since I was a kid, and actually wrote an album. I have a friend in Tucson who was a prospector who was looking for the Iron Door Mine, which is kind of the equivalent of the Lost Dutchman.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I wrote some songs kind of glorifying his quest for this mine, but you know, it wasn't published, so it's just kind of a legend in my own mind.
So is music something you used to do, or is it something you still do?
Oh, I still play, yeah. And you know, we have friends. Once in a while, once a month, we have friends that all. It seems like all of my neighbors play guitar, and so we get together and just have a good time. You know, it's nothing that we would do professionally, but it's
life enriching. It's
very fun, and it is. I mean, every once in a while, I'm sure Steve knows you hit a good lick, and you just kind of amaze yourself sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So outside of your music, you are also a jewelry artist.
Yes. Well, I'm technically a silversmith.
Silversmith.
Yes, but I do work on. I mean, I work in a lot of different mediums. I will work with gold, pewter, brass, nickel. My forte, though, is silver. I've been working with silver since 1974, and I've been in the Indian arts business in one way or another for that whole period of time.
So that's a long time. And tell me, how did you get into it?
Well, it's kind of an odd story how I got into this, but when I was about 23 years old, I was working at the Silver Bell mine outside of Tucson, and I was a ore truck driver, and it was like one of the trucks that almost looks like you're climbing into a building and driving it away. Huge trucks. And at any rate, they started me off as a water truck driver, and you know, one of my jobs was wetting down the roadways and making sure everybody had drinking water. When that was done, my time was my own. So I sat around picking up pieces of turquoise off the ground, and I had a friend who was doing silversmithing, and I traded him the turquoise for a few lessons. And from that point, I met some people that were opening a store. They wanted me to come work for them. And that was it. I mean, I've always done silversmithing from that point on. I've been involved in the jewelry business from that point on.
And how old were you when
At that time, I was about 22 or 23.
Wow.
I can't remember exactly.
So one of your first jobs turned into a lifelong passion.
Yeah. And you know, really, I've been pretty much self-employed doing this. I mean, I've done other things. When I first moved to this mountain, I was actually a courier, but I was doing jewelry repair work for a bunch of stores up here out of my house. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's something. You know, there's not too many jewelry or silversmithing shops where I could just go get a job. So it's something I pretty much had to do on my own. You know, and so far it's worked out rather well. I'm very proud of a lot of the jewelry I make, and as a lot of people can attest to, I do repairs that a lot of people won't touch. So
I'm very unfamiliar with this. Before we talk about your individual pieces, could you talk a little bit about the process of what exactly tools you use for this and how it works?
In the old days, the Native Americans, the Navajo and the Zuni would actually most of this material now is machined, the wires and stuff like that. In the old days, they would have to heat the wire up and pull it through different templates and make their own wire. Things are much simpler now. I don't have to actually do that, but you still, you take different wires and shape them. You take sheet sheet and form it. I do, a lot of people do casting, which is where you make the piece out of wax first. I know how to do that, but I've always been more comfortable working with sheet. I can do, I can make leaves, I can do all kinds of stuff with just files, a pair of scissors or a saw, and it just, to me, it allows a lot of flexibility with design.
And do you heat it then?
Yes.
Well, and how do you do that?
Well, I have a acetylene torch. I mean, I have a whole bunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just trying to picture this process in my head.
So it's kind of a mystery to a lot of people. But yeah, you have to have, I mean, silver the solders that you use melt at about 1200 to 1400 degrees. So you have to have a fairly hot torch to work with silver. It's, to me, again, I've been doing this so long, to me, it's just, I feel the metal. It's second nature to me. Mm-hmm. I know when it's going to melt. I know when it's going to turn red. I can tell just by looking at the metal and when the fire's touching the metal, how it's going to react. So, people have asked me, well, do you want to teach me how to do that? And, it's just, it's not that I wouldn't have the patience. It's just more that I think I've done it for so long that, well, maybe I wouldn't have the patience.
Yeah.
It'd be hard for me to explain to somebody, everything I know just from the visual look that I get off the metal.
Well, when something's very innate and it's ingrained, we don't really put words to it all the time, so it is hard to describe.
And, again, as far as the teaching, I'm not sure, but I've tried, and I tend to get frustrated because to me it's just so easy. And I remember a friend of mine in Tucson told me, well, just because it looks easy to you doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And I've remembered that. So.
It was interesting. It's probably been close to a year ago. I had this bolo tie that I'd been given a long time ago, and I wanted to make a bandana slide out of it. So I took it to Gary. He opened it up in the back, put a ring back there, so I've got a bandana slide now. That's why I wore it today, folks. I think I don't usually dress up like this for the show, but very nice. But that's why I wore it, because Gary made a bandana slide out of it. So thank you.
Gorgeous.
You're very welcome.
So do you the stones you use here? Is there a special way that you pick them, or
well,
do you?
Okay, I'm a fanatic about natural stones. A lot of the turquoise that's on the market now, they say approximately 97% of the turquoise that's on the market has been treated, enhanced, chemically altered in some way. I prefer turquoise that it just has its natural beauty when it comes out of the mine, out of the ground. I have some other stones besides turquoise here, but I have specimens of 3 different mines here. I mean, the real long one, the deep blue one there is Morenci turquoise, and I don't know if the camera can pick it up or not,
right
but
there.
it actually has pyrite in the iron pyrite that runs through it. It's just a beautiful looking stone. That comes from the Morenci mine. The greener pieces are Lone Mountain turquoise. They're
These
all
right here?
natural.
Oh.
Yes, they have a nice spiderweb matrix. They're all natural. And then the one above that with the lighter blue stone is actually Kingman. And Kingman is just kind of northwestern Arizona. And that is actually the only mine that is producing turquoise right now.
Really?
We used to have several mines. The Morenci mine, the greener stuff, the Lone Mountain is out of Nevada, but Arizona has only one mine that's producing turquoise now. And just to show you how rare and how valuable natural turquoise is becoming, the Kingman guys, I was up there in November, and I stopped and I asked to see their natural turquoise. And they showed it to me, but it's like $4,500 a pound.
Oh
Wow.
boy.
Uncut. And
Wow.
and I can remember in the 70s and early 80s buying it for about $200 a pound.
Wow.
The Sleeping Beauty mine, I probably should have brought a piece of that because that is really the most prolific turquoise that is on the market and has been for decades. Actually, I have some in that bracelet there. It's just a clear blue, very little matrix. Some of it does have matrix, but that particular mine has produced probably the most turquoise of, I think, any mine on Earth. They shut the operations down in that mine about 2 years ago.
Oh.
And as a result, that turquoise has also gotten relatively expensive.
So what is this bluestone?
That is lapis lazuli, and a very fine example of it. I was able to purchase quite a bit of that. That's actually the first stone I cut from it, but I brought it along just because the color is just so, it's just outstanding. It just radiates, you know, it's almost like it has an interior light. It's just so beautiful. And it's just kind of an odd thing. You know, the lapis comes from Afghanistan.
Oh.
This particular, I mean, there's other lower grade varieties of lapis that you usually find around copper mines. The really high grade stuff, that stuff is from Afghanistan. And the funny thing about it is that it smells like gunpowder when you're cutting.
Wow.
Oh, no.
So, I don't know if it's because of conflict, it's just an odd coincidence.
Well, we're running out of time, so let's talk about one of these pieces. Which one
Okay.
would you like to talk about?
Well, okay, this piece here is malachite.
Hold it this way. It's for the,
This is
there we
actually
go.
malachite, and it's my own personal bracelet. It's not for sale. I don't know. When I made it, I didn't want to. I mean, I just wanted something that was going to be different, kind of off balance. And so I've got the one side that is just a little bit of silver design, and then the malachite on the top. And it's actually quite fairly well balanced. It's very comfortable to wear. And of course, the malachite, you can find some of that in Arizona. Most of it comes from Africa.
Oh.
And just I mean, this bracelet is another one of my own personal bracelets, and it's kind of unique in the fact that it does have the Sleeping Beauty stones, but then on the end, I had a friend, another friend who was a prospector, and I would set gold nuggets for him, and in return, he would just pay me in gold nuggets. So I used a few of the gold nuggets
nice.
on the bracelet as well. And this, I'll just point this one stone out here. This is actually, and this is another example as well, it's Deer Creek fire agate. That's found in Arizona as well. And it's becoming harder to find, and as a result, it's becoming quite expensive. But I have some beautiful pieces of fire agate, really difficult to cut. I don't even attempt it. I let somebody else do it, but it's just another one of those stones that, because of the scarcity and the difficulty to cut it, it's becoming quite valuable.
It's beautiful, beautiful work, Gary. Could you tell us if somebody was interested in seeing more of your work, would they go to your silversmithing shop?
Yes, yeah.
What's
I
the
own,
address
for
for
those
that?
who don't know, I own Sagebrush Silversmithing, and it's at 3973 West White Mountain
3973.
Boulevard in Lakeside.
All right, folks, we're going to take a little break here, and we'll be back in just a little bit with Ryan Orr. Welcome back to Artspace, folks. We're so glad to have you back with us, and happy to have Ryan David Orr with us today.
Thank you.
Ryan Orr, it's good to meet you, and he's a musician, singer, songwriter, does all of that, and just looking forward to hearing some of it in a little bit.
Yeah, we're excited.
You bet.
Ryan, tell us a little bit about how you got into music.
Well, I first started playing violin when I was about 7 and singing in choir. My mom was a singer-songwriter, so she kind of got me into it. She was the first one that kind of showed me guitar. Then I got into guitar when I was about 12 or 13 and started playing a lot of rock and roll songs and stuff. Then by the time I was in high school, I was writing songs and playing in bands and stuff like that. And then eventually it just sort of morphed into a solo music project. So.
And what is the flavor of your music that you do?
I call it indie folk. I don't know. It's kind of like it's very rootsy, a lot of acoustic guitar. But I guess I take liberties with. It's not traditional folk, you know, and it's more influenced by a lot of rock and pop and kind of indie underground stuff and jazz and
Well, I'm fascinated already.
Yeah,
I'm excited to
can't
hear
wait.
this. So who was your major influence then in the...
I had a lot of them. Pearl Jam's always been one of my biggest. I'm a big Tori Amos fan, PJ Harvey, Tool, Radiohead. There's a songwriter named Richard Buckner that was a big influence. Whiskey Town, any of Ryan Adams' projects, any of that kind of alt country stuff I really got into.
Well, we see your name all over up here. You're performing here, you're performing there. Are you also doing some touring outside the mountain?
Yeah, I actually just got back from a West Coast leg of the tour. Played some shows in San Luis Obispo, California, and Carmel, and then up in Oregon, Portland, and Ashland, and some spots up there. And then I'll be headed out again in about a week and a half for the East Coast. I'll play in Nashville and Knoxville and New York, and we're hoping to get Boston and Philly in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a tour.
Yeah.
Do you have a place where if someone's interested in hearing some of your music online?
Yeah, definitely. RyanDavidOrr.com. That's
Okay.
the main one.
Okay.
That's going to have links to everything else. You can hear the latest album. You can see the new video we just did. Any info, upcoming shows, bio, all that stuff is right there. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter and Reverb Nation.
And you're
Can
all
they get
over.
your CDs online?
They can, yeah.
All right.
At the website or
Yep.
at cdbaby.com
Okay.
Nice.
or
So
iTunes.
we get to hear a couple of songs?
Yeah.
All right.
All
Well, I'm
right.
excited
Good.
to hear that.
All right.
Let's take a break and hear some of your music.
Let's do it. All the sad, sickened daughters longing for the cool summer shade in the yard. Walk on if you wanna, there just ain't enough shimmer left in the stars. With the screaming cicada, oh, the world is so loud. If you're gonna leave early, better not tire yourself. You gotta be strong, gotta keep on if you decide to go out. 200 years laid down behind us. Our daddies were born on the floor of this house. Our blood stains the stones in the field. And I am a man and I stand on my own. And I don't beg and I won't steal. Like so many raindrops, all of my years seem to sink in the ground. And the hope that the rains brought, no more than an answer that cannot be found. I hear a voice in the church scream, I live by my own hand. If it's gonna get harder, better not lay down and die. 'Cause whomever you grieve, you should believe that they can see you stand. 500 years laid down behind us. And our daddies were born on the floor of this house. Our blood stains the stones in the field. And I am a man and I stand on my own. And I don't beg and I won't steal. All these careful offerings that line the stones, a blessed home to be for all you insatiable men with calloused hands and grander plans than me. 5,000 years laid down behind us.
And our daddies were born on the floor of this house, and our blood stains the stones in the field. And I am a man and I stand on my own, and I don't beg and I won't steal. Let me start by saying you were always everything to me, so it doesn't seem strange if I change your name like in a dream. I believe there was someone else like you that I could find, but many years later, although I tried, you're all that's on my mind. You're all that's on my mind. I remember when you lied to your mother and you said you'd be home soon. The soft touch of your fingers on my arm under the moon. And in the corner of the funeral home where the coach was crying 'cause our boy was gone, and his picture was pasted all over a poster board, and I couldn't hold your hand. You wouldn't understand. If I could make this last for good, I would cling to you selfishly, and you would know me like you should, and how I wanna be. My house sat on a county road near a little trail through the trees. I could walk it in the middle of the winter when the wind shook out the leaves. Meet me over by the telephone lines and sell me on your dreams, and I will call you angel in a language only seen, but you'll know what I mean. If I could make this last for good, I would cling to you selfishly, and you would know me like you should, and how I wanna be. We fall down to learn to stand up taller. We love so big, all the world seems smaller. Sweet girl, I never meant to be less than what you needed me to be. If I could make this last for good, I would cling to you selfishly, and you would know me like you should, and how I wanna be. Are really there, then listen to me now. It took an hour just for me to settle down. They told me to be patient, to keep my hands to myself, but look at the stories they said. I couldn't see her face no matter where I read. The ad laid cover page was briefing what it said. You know that no one seemed troubled, and the spirit was broken and vague. We cannot make them understand if we're not open. Words will never save a man if left unspoken. We can't afford to linger, as if we didn't notice something real is gone. My kingdom for a picture of you as you sleep is one I open, is your breathing very deep. When can you say that enough is enough is enough? Nobody really plays for keeps. Somebody's baby had to walk before she crawled. Somebody's silhouette is sneaking through the hall. Somebody's writing the words to a story that we will read, so that we don't feel small. But we cannot make them understand if we're not open, and words will never save a man if left unspoken. We can't afford to linger on, as if we didn't notice something real is gone. And I don't wanna turn around and just pretend that if I didn't see it, then there's nothing wrong.
Wow, that was wonderful, folks. Boy, wasn't that great music? Thank you, Ryan David Orr.
My pleasure.
What do you think?
I think it's great. Now
All
I
right.
know what indie folk is.
Yeah.
Good, everybody should.
Yes,
Yep.
very great. Now, one more time, your website,
RyanDavidOrr.com.
RyanDavidOrr.com. You need to check it out. And I want to thank Ryan for being here today. I want to thank you for joining us. Also want to thank our sponsors, the Arts Alliance of the White Mountains and Northeastern Arizona Fine Arts Association. Please join us again next month for 2